The New England Patriots are caught in a first-half futility trap, but there's still time to walk out. The process starts now, so stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Patriots podcast a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Remember, we are a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it's available. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Sports Illustrated. So reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on the Bird app, on X, on Twitter at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some social media love to the pod, follow Locked On Patriots account as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to and help you do it faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. And of course, terms and conditions apply. And Pats fans, for the second time in as many weeks, the New England Patriots found themselves on the losing end of a gallant yet futile comeback attempt on their home field. Patriots dropping their Week 2 matchup with the Miami Dolphins 24-17. Falling to 0-2 on the season, their first such start since the 2001 campaign, Bill Belichick's second season as the head coach. But if I recall correctly, Murph, I think they did pretty well that year. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, folks, but just saying it ain't over yet. And of course, here today to help me break down all the ins and outs and ups and downs is my good friend, the Count of Murphy Fisto himself, the legendary Thomas Murphy of E2G Sports. Thank you for coming to me, especially today in friendship, Don Murph.
Why do you come to me, Michael? Why do I deserve this generosity?
If you consider a post-game show in Week 2 just courtesy, salute, Don Murph.
I'm losing it. I'm losing it.
I think we all are. I think that there's definitely a lot of losing it going on among the fan base in Foxborough. Pats fans, we feel your pain right now, but at the same time, we also don't want to wallow too much in misery because there are silver linings to be gleaned from what happened on the field last night. There are positives to be taken away. There are a lot of lessons to be learned. There were some bad things that happened. Murph and I are going to get into all of them today. But Murph, I think we'd be doing our listeners a disservice if we didn't start with the strange ending to last night's game, unintended. In the closing moments, the Patriots looked like they were about to extend their final drive into the game's closing minute. 4th and 4 from the Dolphins' 33-yard line. Mac Jones completes a short pass to Mike Gesicki. Short of the first down marker, Gesicki, I think, showed impressive field savvy on this play by looking around, finding, in his words, the biggest man he could find on the field at the time, and that was Cole Strange. Cole lunging forward. At first, the officials ruled that Cole had got the first down, but then upon further review, review is the best word I think we can, come up with at this point. They determined that there was sufficient evidence to overturn the call and say that Strange's knee landed on the turf prior to crossing the marker. Now, Murph, there are arguments that are going to be made on this either way. Obviously, the Miami side is very happy about the way the ball broke last night. New England, not so much, but I think that their more pressing problem is the fact that the attempted lateral had to be their last gasp in the first place. Before we get into that, though, my friend, your thoughts on this call. Did the officials make the right one? Was there sufficient evidence to overturn this?
I'm not sure they made the right one on the first call, but there was not sufficient evidence to overturn it. Okay, how about that? It was it was a head scratcher. I didn't think that once the timeout was called, you knew why the timeout was called, and I would have done it too if I was standing on the Miami sideline. But no, I didn't think that there was enough to overturn that, man. I think Doctor Strange got home, and the Patriots took one on the chin. But once again, the Patriots get all the calls.
Yeah, it's funny old world, isn't it? It's always the Patriots get bailed out by the refs until something like this happens, and then the refs always make the right call. So it's a double-edged sword when it comes to the New England Patriots.
It was fantastic. It was good awareness from Gasecki and of course from Strange to be up there and in the play and able to, field that nice little lateral to himself and maybe give the Pats a chance to get down and continue what they were doing in the second half of this game. Yeah, let's just avoid the entire first half and we'll just talk about second half all day. Um, but no, it just goes back to you know a will to win and
Mm,
never give up. And no matter what hole gets dug for this team so far with 2 games under their belts, they're not packing it in.
mm.
They're not hanging their heads. They know that they can get back into it, and they did. It just they didn't get over the hump one more time.
Once again, they dug themselves into an early hole that proved to be too insurmountable
Right.
from which to climb out. And they understand this. They know they need to get faster. They know they need to start quicker. Everybody that was spoken to by the media last night at Gillette Stadium, whether it be Mac Jones, whether it be Jabril Peppers, whether it be Matthew Judon, whether they stood at the podium or stood in front of their locker, I really think the central message from everybody was we have to do a better job at starting, but they shouldn't be in the holes that they're in. 16-point deficit in week one,
Right.
17-3 deficit in week two. That's a lot to put on a defense against two potentially explosive offenses, who I think the New England Patriots, dare I say, did a pretty good job of containing in these games.
I tip my cap to Miami and to that brain trust over there on the sides. For years and years, the Patriots survived on taking what the opponent gave you.
Hmm.
All right, and Miami did that last night. They hit the underneath routes. They didn't try to chuck it down the field. What they did, they got burned. And it was, but no, I mean, as much as I disliked Tua's attitude after the game during his press conference, you've got to take your hat off. The kid has gotten a bit smarter over the past
Oh,
year or
absolutely.
so. He's hitting those underneath routes. He's finding the open man and allowing them to do the dirty work. So yeah, and it's not a huge tip of the cap,
Hmm.
and yes, the Patriots once again shot themselves in the foot, but haven't we done this to other teams for the better part
Hmm.
of 2 decades?
Yeah,
Sat back and waited for them to
it's
screw
true.
up. All right. That's the problem is the fact that right now it's the Patriots that are screwing up. And
Hmm.
that's across the board. It's on both sides of the ball. It's coaching on the sidelines. It's gotten you to 0-2,
Yeah. I wrote
you
about
know?
this a little bit last night for Sports Illustrated, and I'm glad that you brought that up. One thing that was very impressive to me about what Miami was able to do is find a way to neutralize what the Patriots were trying to
Yep.
neutralize, and that is the three safety sets that they were showing them on defense. Bill Belichick said that was one of the wrinkles that they were using, but really they primarily put three safeties in the deep part of the field
Yep.
and told Miami, we're not going to let you beat us with a big play. It was almost like a daring of the daring
Right.
at that point, where Bill Belichick was saying, we're not going to let you beat us with the stuff down the field. If you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with the short game. And Miami came prepared to do that. Those big nickel looks, they might have limited Miami's ability to seek that big play, but what it did is it opened things up in the shorter game. Raheem Mostert, significant
Yep.
yardage last night. He was a big weapon, and Mike McDaniel from his days coaching him in San Francisco has a lot
Right.
of faith in Raheem's speed. You saw that showcase last night to get the underneath routes that allowed Miami to move down the field and then put their top scoring weapons in
Right.
position to hurt the Patriots. So, yeah, good job by Mike McDaniel last night, and
The
definitely a good
Patriots did
point.
a good job of shutting him down for the most part, Mozart. And
Mm,
they were did a fine job of setting the edge and not letting those outside zone runs kill them. All
right.
right. And what burned them was the inside.
Mm,
And that's really where the Achilles heel was last night with the defense that the Patriots were in, is running the ball up in between the tackles, taking those inside zone runs, and he ended up breaking one off. I forget who the quote was attributed for, who gave the quote that that was a lucky play. that last long run that he broke off there for a score, and that wasn't lucky. That wasn't lucky at all. They knew what defense you were in. They knew that they could cut back up and use that inside zone, and they broke one off, and that was the game changer. That was the game ender.
Well, we know there's going to be a lot of takeaways in this one. We talked about digging an early hole, but there were two areas where I think the Patriots really did not pay attention to the monster keys over the weekend. And over again, we say this, folks, if you don't turn the keys, you're never heard from again. And because the Patriots did not turn these two keys, I think they found themselves on the opposite end of what could have been a victory in New England last night. Murph and I are going to talk about why those keys were not turned and why this early deficit continues to be a New England Patriots problem when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, these days every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team. They help you do it faster, and they help you do it for free. Add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and who you'd like to hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus the leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to, and they help you do it faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Locked On listeners, football season is here, and there is no better time to use PrizePicks, the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Not to mention, they're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including all those pros and sharks out there, you pick more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projection and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is really simple to play. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. That's it. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. That's why they're my favorites, and I know they're going to be yours too. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So don't delay. Do it today. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match up to $100 by going to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. And we are breaking down the New England Patriots 24-17 loss to the Miami Dolphins in week 2. And Murph, the Patriots are at 0-2. I know a lot of Patriots fans are squeamish and nervous right now, but there is no reason to go into full-on panic mode. Unless you're going to listen to this next segment, and then you're going to believe that the sky is falling. But don't worry, we like to end on a high note, and we will end on a high note, folks. But we're going to get the low lights out of the way first. And Murph, I alluded to this coming into the break. Your monster keys, I always think, are some of the best reads that any Patriots fan, player, or member of the brass could possibly read before they take the field and do battle with their opponent on Sunday or Monday or whatever game day happens to be. 2 things the New England Patriots, I think, need to do a much better job of, and one of the big reasons why I think they found themselves on the outside looking in last night in terms of a potential victory, were poor security of the football and continuity along the offensive line. I know you love to talk about big round men, Murph, and you love to talk about what they do well. The offensive line for better parts of the night, to me, looked out of sync. I know they haven't had a lot of time to practice together as a unit. They're just starting to get healthy. Is this something where they can build on, or is this a potential problem that really could linger on if the Patriots don't address something soon?
No, this is a potential problem. my one of my main keys that I cut this week was to be able to establish the run, get Ramondre into a good rhythm out there, and that didn't happen. This offensive line could not run block. They could not get him to the second level, and he couldn't get into a rhythm at all. Granted, once again, they were down early, and Mac was forced to throw the ball more than he probably wanted to. But no, if you cannot run the football with this team, then you are not going to win. Okay,
Right.
this team is set up to run the football, and it did not happen. Ramondre had what I would consider for him a terrible game. He broke off, a 12-yard run was his longest run, 15 for 50 yards and the touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott was just a complete non-factor. And again, you can put a lot of that on this offensive line. And, last of all, I'd really like to know where the hell Ty Montgomery was last night and why he wasn't a bigger part of this game plan when you
Yeah.
knew that you had to switch things up. Ty Montgomery is a set of fresh light. He's somebody that the Dolphins would have had to think about in a different manner than they did the first two. I'm not saying Ramondre isn't a good pass catcher. I'm not saying that Zeke isn't, but these things were not used last night, and we were throwing screen passes to the absolute wrong people.
Absolutely. Could not have said it better. The run game not getting on track is definitely a problem for this team. 88 rushing yards,
Yep.
30 on 13 carries in the first half.
That's just
You
88
cannot
more than I had.
Exactly. And you cannot effectively run this offense the way the Patriots are predicated on running an offense with the run setting up play action passes and getting the yards after the catch. It just doesn't work in this situation. You cannot move the chains on a regular basis if this run game does not get going. And you're not going to find it if you're getting shoddy run protection from the O-line and from the run blockers. I don't mean to just come at the linemen here. We're talking running backs. We're talking tight ends. This needs to be better. On the pass protection side of it, Mac Jones finishing 31 for 42, 231 yards, a touchdown, an interception. But if you go back and you look at the pass protection, Murph, and you look at what Mac had to endure pretty much all game, Calvin Anderson credited with a sack and 3 quarterback hits. Cole Strange was credited with a sack and a holding penalty, obviously. Antonio Mafi gave up a sack. Verdarian Lowe gave up a sack. David Andrews gave up a hit. Zeke Elliott gives up a hit in pass protection. I don't care who is back there calling signals, taking snaps. If you're coming at Mac Jones and looking at him as the sole problem for what happened on the field offensively last night, folks, you're missing a big chunk of what the New England Patriots did not do well. Those B-gap blitzes, Murph, that the Dolphins were throwing at the New England Patriots, the Pats just did not have an answer for it, whether it be David Long, Bradley Chubb, Andrew Van Ginkel. These guys were coming off, and they were getting in there. And they did all this without Jalen Phillips. So, again, you have to really appreciate what Miami was able to do.
Thank you for pointing that out. Every big play that came up, Miami got home on. Every time they needed to get home, they got home. All right. And you can't do that. This line is tissue paper. This line could not block a sneeze last night. Now, I've said time and again, wait until these guys all get together and start playing. There was no continuity on this offensive line at all last night. Anderson was just pitiful. It was just, it looked like me being out there trying to block, Lawrence Taylor, for lack of a better. It was awful. And if this does not get fixed, 12-5 is not going to happen.
No, it's true. And really, I think that the New England Patriots are now finding themselves in must-win territory very early in the season. And Pats fans are not used to this 0-2. This is not something that's happened in over 2 decades. So the Pats are in rarefied territory in Bill Belichick era. But folks, again, it doesn't mean it's not possible for them to dig themselves out of. But what they do need to do, Murph, is a point that we've been making here regularly. They cannot dig themselves into early holes. And one of the big reasons why they're doing it is bad protection of the football. Tip of the cap to Zach Cox of Nesson, who came up with this stat. And I think this perfectly encapsulates, folks, what the New England Patriots are facing. The Pats have allowed 33 first half points through 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
20 of those points, 3 of their opponents' 4 touchdowns
Yep.
came off turnovers.
Turnovers.
Not going to get it done, folks. It's just
Nope.
not going to get it done. I love
Win,
Pop Douglas
win,
as much as, yeah, exactly.
win
I
the
love Pop,
turnover battle.
right,
It's there in the weeklies for a reason.
right.
Not tie it, not hold them to a standstill.
Mhm,
Win the turnover battle. And
mhm.
2 games in, this has not happened. We've given this team short fields. You know, we've been trying to mitigate, the hatred towards Mac, but that you can't throw that interception at the
Yeah.
20-yard line. You cannot. That he had no idea what he was doing there. He didn't know who he was
Mm,
throwing the ball to. I mean, he knew who he was throwing the ball to, but he could not see it. It was god
mhm.
awful. These were 2 drives where the Patriots were destined to get points. First of all with the fumble, and then when Mac threw that interception when he's going to Devontae Parker, which is another pet peeve of mine today. We saw too much Devonta Parker love last night from Mac Jones, and
Mm,
just not enough from not enough. I wanted to see a lot more Hunter Henry and a lot more why am I at a complete loss for it? Kendrick Bourne. Okay, Kendrick had
mm,
four
absolutely.
receptions for 29 yards. He did have 9 targets, but they were nine
Mhm,
passes that he caught the balls that he should have. Let's put it
mhm.
that way. And
Right.
I wanted to see more. I just thought that they went to the outside to Parker a bit too much when, across the middle, and letting these guys get their yards after the catch, which we all know that I love so much, instead of those 50-50 balls. We could have had a better situation out here. And lastly, and well, not lastly, because we're gonna keep talking about all this. Demario Douglas's benching was a real issue for me last night.
Mm,
I
glad you
understand
mentioned that.
that this has happened in the past, but this kid's a rookie. All
Mhm,
right, he put a move on that was unbelievable, and an All Pro got him from behind, made an
yeah.
All Pro kind of play, and got him from behind. You send him to the bench, you give him a football to hold. I didn't even think it wasn't even like he was running with the loaf of bread there. Man just made a play.
Yep.
So it's just this team is not talented enough for that benching.
Yep.
It's not. Douglas
Exactly.
is one of the playmakers on this team, and he needs to be out there a hell of a lot more than he
Mhm,
is. This is it. When people talk about the game passing Bill by, I get really aggravated and really irritated because he still comes up with fantastic game plans every week. It's things
right.
like this. It's things
Yeah,
like
that's a
this
shame.
where we're still playing in the 1980s, where you're going to make a kid walk around the high school with a football tucked in there for, until the next game comes up because he fumbled on the 1-yard line.
Mm,
All right. And you're going to sit him down. You can't do that anymore. You can't do that with this team. You hit a home run with Pop Douglas, every once in a while, he's going to pop out.
yeah, he is. And I think in last night's situation where you look at the fumble, and yeah, it did. It halted what was looking to be a
Yeah.
promising drive. It's on 3rd down, so Pop is trying to make something happen. He tried the catch and cut, put the move a little bit early, and did not secure the football. That is something that he needs to work on, but he also needs game experience in order to be able to move on from it. This can have a detrimental mental
That's it.
effect on a rookie, like you just
Shake
said. And
it
I think
off
you
next
sold it very
play.
well. Absolutely. Yeah.
I coach folks, and it's just, I can't do that to a youngster. It's shake it
Mhm,
off next play, and you give him a pat on the back the next time when he does something right. As soon as you let him know that he did something wrong,
mhm,
but he doesn't have to sit for the rest of the game, which is what happened. And I didn't like Belichick's explanation when he was asked about it multiple times
mhm.
in during his press conference. I'm sorry, I can't give a shout out. I think Doug Kyed asked one of the questions.
He did. Yeah, Doug's asked the follow up. And, Bill just basically said, we've got a lot of good players on this team and you can't play everybody. But in short, the Pats are going to have to shore up the fundamentals, take care of the football, and this team quickly needs to find a way to get off to faster starts. If they're unable to do so, shaping up to be a long season in Foxborough. But there are elements that the Patriots can build on to actually be able to give people hope that this season may not all be lost, Murph. Imagine that. No one
Yeah.
would have believed it. But we're going to tell you why here on Locked On Patriots. We believe the Patriots did show some signs of promise and some silver linings. We're going to talk about those in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. This app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. If you want to put your fandom and confidence in your favorite team from Foxborough to the test, do so with our good friends at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Pats fans, thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule today to join us here on Locked On Patriots. The Count of Murphy Fisto, the Green King of Sting, the Monster Master of Disaster himself, Thomas Murphy of E2Gsports.com, joining me here today, breaking down all of the ins and outs, ups and downs of the Patriots' 24-17 loss to the Miami Dolphins, starting the season 0-2. Murph, we've talked about what went wrong for the New England Patriots. We've even talked about the strange nature of the way the game ended. All right, folks, I promise that's the last strange pun I'm going to throw in here today. But there were some positive elements. And how do we even begin to talk about positive elements from this game without mentioning Brendan Schooler? I absolutely loved seeing this last night. This was the highlight of the Patriots game as far as I'm concerned. Exactly. Anyone that's wondering why the Patriots place such a premium on special teams, this kid is it. Textbook block of a field goal attempt by Miami kicker Jason Sanders. Miami setting up for the kick attempt. Schooler out wide, which I think was, brilliant to begin with. It's unusual. It's not something you see every day. It's not something that you really work on. In fact, Brendan even said afterwards that the first time that he had worked on it was just a couple of days ago with Cam McCord and the Patriots special teams unit. He came flying out of the corner, onto his target, blocking the attempt, and then Kyle Duggar, I thought, heads up move as well, racing to get the ball, recovering it at the Miami 39-yard line. Murph, how big of a smile on a scale of 1 to 10? How excited was the Count of Murphy Fisto watching this last night?
This one goes to 11.
I think we all did.
This one goes to 11. It was a fantastic play. I'd never seen it in my entire life. I'm sitting there looking, what the hell is Schooler doing out there? He's never going to get home from there. And he did. When he went into motion, I was like, oh my God. And the way that he read the kicker, not the snap, the way that he read the kicker was unbelievable. He timed it perfectly. Once again, you bringing up Duggar and getting there on the scoop, it was a fantastic play. It was one that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And this is why. This is why the Patriots put such a premium on all three phases, and this phase is in special teams is one of them. And Schooler earned his entire freaking paycheck on that one play.
Yeah, he truly did. And the first person to come over and congratulate him and to hug him last night during that play in the aftermath, Matthew Slater. That should tell you something right there. Slater was definitely excited by seeing that. I know Patriots Nation was. You look up and down and take a look at all of the quotes on social media. Really one of the better moments for the Pats last night. So tip of the cap to Brendan Schooler. He gets the Patriots game ball. Not a whole lot of them to be doled out last night for New England, but he definitely gets one. But I don't want to make it sound like Schooler's play was the only good thing that the Patriots did on the field last night. That was far from being the case, folks. Again, when the Patriots have things clicking on all cylinders, they're looking pretty good. Mac
Yep.
Jones, 2 touchdown drives, one ending with a touchdown pass to Hunter Henry, the other ending in a Ramondre Stevenson 2-yard touchdown run. Murph, when you look at the way the Pats spread the ball, utilize the open
That's
field,
it.
utilize the open man, this is the offense we should be seeing from the New England Patriots. That's what they have to build on
That's it.
this week. Am I
And
wrong?
it should be, no, you're not wrong at all. And it should be a lot easier. They should be able to do this, on every single drive. And once you get the run game figured out, that's going to be able to happen. But the way Mac was able to spread the ball, it was, the ghost of Tom Brady was dancing up there on top of the lighthouse, ringing the bell, that nobody heard. They're ringing the bell. It was beautiful. It was fantastic. And it was everything that I want from this team. But like I say, it goes back to the offensive line, giving him enough time. He couldn't have gotten the ball out any quicker on that
Mhm.
drive.
Right.
And once again, it shows that, when you mix up tempo, and this is not a trick. This is not. I don't want to hear from the 2 to 6 people this afternoon that you have to use trickeration and start using no huddle and up tempo and this and that. Well,
Mhm.
the teams have been doing this for decades.
Mhm.
And if you can do that, you can wipe out every Buffalo Bills trip to the Super Bowl back in the 80s and 90s because, that's where it all started, going with this no huddle. I think they should do it more often. I think Mac looks completely at ease in running a 2-minute drill
Mhm.
like this, running this up tempo stuff, spreading everything out and letting him pick people apart. We need more of it. We
Yeah,
definitely need more of it.
absolutely. Yeah, without any question. And I do think we need more of it. And the New England Patriots right now are going to be hard at work trying to find that offensive spark, that one thing that's going to bring everything together because the elements are there, folks. There are little bits and pieces that the Patriots are doing well. If they can find a way to keep the football in their hands early on and not turn the ball over and turn some of that second half effort when this team is down, when their backs are up against the wall, and put that effort into the game regularly, I think you're going to see different outcomes for the New England Patriots going down the line. So a lot to build on, but not a lot of time to do it. The Patriots have to right the ship, and they have to right it quickly this week. Any parting thoughts on the defense last night and their efforts, whether it be containing Tua Tagovailoa, basically cutting his offensive yardage production in
Yep.
half? What else from the defensive effort stood out last night that you believe the Patriots can hang their hat on as a positive heading into week 3 against the Jets?
How well this defensive backfield played without the Joneses.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
We were missing one Jones on the way in, lost another one in the first quarter, and
Mm,
yet they still played a fantastic game in my estimation. Gonzo is the man.
yeah.
He's
Yeah,
him.
he is.
Okay,
Mhm.
he's him. If you guys had any doubts, over from the draft up until this week, I hope they've been erased. This kid is it. He has
Mhm.
it. He doesn't walk around with the swagger of others. He's somebody that leads by example, not by the the volume of his voice, and it's a beautiful thing. I love watching him play football, and he did everything and more that was asked of him last night. That's my parting shot. You can't get any better than what that kid did last night.
Yeah, so well said. For the second week in a row, you see the brilliance and the flashes of the ability to be that guy, to be
Yep.
him, like you said, in this league from Christian Gonzalez. Glad to see him get his first NFL interception. I thought a
Right.
brilliant play on ball.
It
Yeah, there
was.
were rookie. Yeah, there were rookie moments. You're going to chuck.
Sure.
I know some people will probably sprinkle in the whiff comments and things of that nature. Yeah, there are still things that Christian needs to work on, but overall, this kid is showing promise week after week, day after day, and for him to put it into action this quickly in a game setting against 2 very difficult offenses to defend says a lot about who Christian
Right.
Gonzalez is. The Patriots got a good one here in their
They
first
really
round
did,
pick.
man. They hit a home run with this. He fell into their laps. Actually, they re Bill switched chairs and still allowed him to
Mhm.
fall into their laps.
Now the New England Patriots are set to turn their attention to the Jets, and Zach Wilson and company down in East Rutherford, New Jersey. What can I say, my friend? You always bring the wisdom and counsel the way only you can. And folks, we hope that you're able to at least quell some of your squeamishness about the Patriots' future all hope is not lost, folks. The Pats have a hard work of practice coming up this week, but if they can put it all together and string together a win, they can start to climb out of this deficit. They've been in bigger holes before. New England definitely has the horses and the ability on both sides of the ball to
Yep.
pull themselves out of it. Will they do it? That's the question. Can they do it? We're going to find out this week. But in the meantime, I want to thank you, buddy, for doing everything that you've done today and always being there for the handoff. Before I let you go, please let everyone know where they can find you, absorb your wisdom, counsel, and phenomenal work, both in written form and on the microphone from E2G Sports. Floor is yours, my friend. Take us home.
No, you can just follow me on the Bird app, on the X Bird app, whatever you want to call it, at TMurph207, and you can pick up everything that I've got going on this week, because right now it's just hell week.
Absolutely, folks. Whether it's Red Sox coverage, Patriots coverage, it's always appointment viewing and appointment reading when Murph puts pen to paper. Highly encourage you to check that out. And of course, folks, continue to check us out each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, because we are going to continue to break down the Pats' loss to the Dolphins, lessons to be learned, tasks to be completed, and so much more. So stay locked into Locked On Patriots. Download, subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcasts. And I thank all of you, each and every one of you, especially all you Locked On Everydayers out there, for all of the support that you provide to the pod. And if you're a casual listener or a first timer here, we hope you enjoyed what you heard and you come back for more. On behalf of my good friend, the Count of Murphy Fisto himself, the legendary Thomas Murphy, I'm Mike Debate, reminding you to stay safe and to stay well and to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.
Can't stand him. Can't stand him.
Can't stand you.
Can't stand you.